Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Refresher, brought to you by the Recruitment Roundup and all of us here at BMS Performance. The Refresher is a much shorter episode than our usual episodes and is designed to provide key takeaways with a whole host of subjects that we talk about in relation to recruitment, sales training, and everything else that we speak about on the show. So hope it's really helpful. And yeah, let's get stuck into it. The audience listening to this will be aware in some way, shape or form of what they are, I would have thought. But for those that haven't, I wanted to kick it off just by getting your take, Mark, on what is now a psychometric profiling assessment, and then we'll drill down from there.
Well, I think probably the first thing to note is that it's not an assessment, and
okay,
that is an industry-wide term. You know, psychometric assessments or tests.
Yeah.
But then they're not that, because that implies that there's a right or wrong, and of course there isn't a right or wrong. You're talking about trying to identify behavior, in our case, behavioural and personality traits of an individual that allows you to give your organisation extra points of data to make a recruitment decision and to understand what sits behind the CV and what sits behind the individual that you're interviewing. So calling them an assessment or a test for me has always seemed a little bit anathema to that. So they're insights. There's no right or wrong. But what they effectively allow you to do, as mentioned, is you've got the ability to gain a greater understanding of the person, what drives them, their behavioural preferences in the workplace, how they might cope with pressure, how they might cope with stress, how their work or their behaviour changes in the workplace to outside the workplace, but also lots of really great stuff in terms of not just being able to understand the person to allow you to make the right recruitment decision, but also the really important thing post-recruitment around onboarding and how you are going to best get the most out of the individual in that onboarding process, but also how they work in a hybrid environment. You know, that's a big thing that businesses have had to adapt to, and sales teams have had to adapt to. I know BMS have had to adapt to this. Is how do you go from a sales organisation that's used to being in the office to one that's hybrid, and how do individuals cope with that? Because not all of us cope with it in the same way.
Yeah.
How you are best to manage and motivate them. So it's not just about, is this person going to be offered a job or not, and what does it say, yes or no, but it's right, how are we going to get that salesperson productive in the first 12 months, which I think we all agree is the most critical of a salesperson's journey.
Sort of dovetailed nicely into obviously retaining and developing individuals within a business. So, you know, I suppose, how could psychometric tests be used to do that?
So in terms of retaining and developing people, you know, you've got the ability to understand someone's workforce behavior, but then also personality, to help identify how to manage them so they can be used in coaching conversations and to support coaching conversations. You've also got the ability to identify people with the right leadership potential. So one of the things that we're able to support organizations with is, okay, how do we not just recruit people that have got management or leadership potential, but how do we identify individuals in the organization that have got that, and where are the potential gaps in leadership potential? So, and then from there, what do we need to do to bridge that? So one of the things that we're able to do is understand someone's innate ability to be curious and to be open-minded, which is a really important skill in organizations now, because business is changing at such a rapid pace that you need to constantly reskill yourself. So you want an individual that is open to new ideas, has the growth mindset that we talked about, isn't going to just stay to the tried and tested and is comfortable in that. Now, the individual needs to be aware of where they're at as a starting point. And then once they've got that self-awareness, what can they do to increase it? Because you don't just say, well, I've got that level of curiosity, that's it for the rest of my life. You can develop these things in the way that you develop resilience. And people often come to us saying, we've got a recruitment challenge. I need more resilient people. As if, right, okay, that's it. Now, resilience is something that again, it's complex. It's not just about you as the person, it's also about your environment and how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And resilience you can develop. You can become resilient if you know how. But the first point is that self-awareness before you then look at the right intervention.
I'm just thinking about obviously psychometric tests and in terms of maybe impacts, because we hear a lot about, diversity and inclusion and, so I'm really interested to just try and dig a bit deeper into that and the kind of impact that you guys have seen on the back of, the psychometric test, sorry.
Yeah. So there's no doubt that one of the key metrics that a solution can help deliver is diversity and inclusion. And if we think about the whole process of recruitment, creating a job profile, an advert, looking at a CV, doing an assessment day, or interviewing people, it's riddled with potential bias across all of those little things.
Yeah.
And there are over 180 different cognitive bias that I think we've got recorded now, and you see them playing out in recruitment all the time. So having a solution that allows you to objectively look at a person and not a piece of paper, or making a judgment on someone based on the halo effect of when they walk through the door, whether you like them or not, and you're using your gut feel and your intuition, is really important.
Yeah.
Because I think we all appreciate now that effective teams and creating an effective team, you need diversity of thought, and you get that through diversity of background. And unfortunately, too often organizations recruit in their own image. So you've got, affinity bias, whereby I'm going to recruit Sam because we support the same football team, or we went to the same university, or we used to work in the same industry. You've got negativity bias, which is a classic thing in recruitment that I think about, which is hiring managers think more about the reason why you can't do the job than why you can. And particularly at the moment, whereby people are worried about making a mistake. Nobody wants to be the person that hires the person that is not going to work out and leave in 6 months. So they're really acutely aware of getting it right. So they will look for any reason to discount you that they can possibly think, even if it's not founded on any evidence. So that whole diversity and inclusion piece is really important, I think, for organizations. And it's one that we talk to companies about on a constant basis.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to that. Hope it was really helpful, and we look forward to providing loads of great key takeaways in the future on the Refresher, brought to you by the Recruitment Roundup. If you haven't yet subscribed to us or given us a follow, please do. It makes a huge difference. For those of you who haven't done this and want to know where to find us, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we're on YouTube, and you'll see loads of content that goes out on LinkedIn. So be sure to check on that. And as I say, give us a follow. Thank you very much for listening, and hope this episode has been of great use. Thank you everyone for listening to that. Hope it was really helpful, and we look forward to providing loads of great key takeaways in the future on the refresher, brought to you by the Recruitment Roundup. If you haven't yet subscribed to us or given us a follow, please do. It makes a huge difference. For those of you who haven't done this and want to know where to find us, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we're on YouTube, and you'll see loads of content that goes out on LinkedIn. So be sure to check on that, and as I say, give us a follow. Thank you very much for listening, and hope this episode has been of great use.